Hello, everyone. Today, what I am thinking about is self-compassion. I am really thinking about the world and how so many of us don't have compassion for others, or so much of the world doesn't have compassion for others. You may, but I think that this really has to start with self-compassion. If we don't have compassion for ourselves, that's going to bleed onto other people, and we're not going to have compassion for them. We're going to judge them. We're going to should them. And I think right now, what we really have to realize, I think we've been ingrained our entire childhoods with this idea of right and wrong. This is right and wrong. This is right and wrong. And that parental voice of criticism is still there, wanting us to be perfect. And the thing is, we are all human. And so we're not perfect. And so if you are telling someone, this is where you should be, everyone has their own journey and their own soul's journey. This is an earth school. So everyone isn't going to be at the level you're at, and you're not going to be at the level everyone else is at. We're all here to learn different things. And I often find that if we're looking at someone else telling them, this is what's wrong with you, this is where you should be, it's often because we're not feeling compassion for ourselves and where we are. And so I encourage you to look at yourself and have compassion for that self that messes up sometimes. It's part of the human experience. You can be 100 years old, you're still going to mess up. One of my favorite speakers who I've mentioned before is Kyle Cease. And as he says, you're not going to look at somebody who's 6 years old and tell them when they mess up and they haven't learned something that may be at the 10-year-old level, that they should be at the 10-year-old level. They're 6 years old. And many of us have our own issues that you may think, oh, they should be there, but that's their own soul's journey. So it's not necessarily the curriculum that they have learned yet. And we do that to ourselves as well. I think we often can be very hard on ourselves when we don't do something perfectly. So we either avoid looking at it so that we don't feel shame. We still feel the shame because it's there. Or we outwardly talk, badly to ourselves and don't have that compassion for, hey, this was an experience, I should have learned it this way. A lot of times when we mess up or others mess up, it's from every time it's from an unconscious level. People, I believe that most people are very unconscious when they mess up or don't do something perfectly, and that's where they have to learn and grow. And the thing is everybody does the best that they can do at the time. And often we should ourselves, I should have done it this way. No, you shouldn't, because you were supposed to learn. So what was supposed to happen was exactly what was supposed to happen, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened that way. So there are really no shoulds. Now you can learn from that experience and say, hey, next time I'm going to handle it this way, because I think, that would be a better way. And so if you're wanting to feel more self-compassion in your life, this is kind of a process I use, is to first look at myself, the side of myself that's not giving myself compassion, and just allow that to be. Don't try to change it. Don't try to, make it any different. I talk to that self and I say, you're allowed to not feel compassion for me. And just allow that self to be what it is. Don't shame that self that's not giving yourself compassion, because then that's not showing you compassion. Say, you're allowed to not feel compassion in my body. And I sit with that. And just when I feel that full allowance, I say, what would it be like if I did feel self-compassion in my body? And I sit with that and wonder, what would it feel like to give myself that compassion? And as I'm wondering what it would feel like to give myself that compassion, I find myself feeling self-compassion. And so I invite you to do that for yourself. First, just allow that self not to feel compassion for yourself. And then ask what it would be like if you did feel compassion for yourself. And allow you to feel that compassion, that love, that part that realizes you're human, that you're not going to do everything perfectly. What is perfect anyway? I would much rather be with somebody that's real than is perfect. But once you start feeling that compassion for yourself, I think you'll find that you can easily extend that to others. And after you focus on yourself, you can say, hey, I'm allowed to not feel compassion for this person. Allow yourself not to feel that. But then ask yourself, what would it be like to feel compassion for this person? And allow yourself to feel that, and allow yourself to think of the good qualities, maybe good things that you've learned from them, instead of just judging the things that you don't like about them, or about yourself too. So it's funny because I was once given a vision of the world, and I don't know if this is a true vision or if it was a parable, but I got this vision that it was like the final battle between good and evil. There were all these battles, and there was this big battle between good and evil, and they were just as strong as each other, and they fought for days and days. Actually, it was like almost like years. And the final resolution came to be that humans were going to be created, because they came to this compromise, good and evil, quote evil, that humans were going to be created with light inside of them and darkness, because neither good or evil was winning. But then once these humans were created, they, instead of seeing all the good that had been in them, they only saw the bad in that other person, and they started attacking each other based on the bad that they saw, rather than knowing that this person was so full of light and love and goodness, and forgot to see that. And it was a really incredible parable for me to see. And I think that, in the end, we're all here to be loving. Love is the only thing that is love is the only true good, really. And it's what I feel our whole purpose is to love ourselves and love one another. So when you start with compassion and loving yourself, you can truly extend that energy of love to each other, because you're never going to make someone change or yourself change by shaming yourself or shaming other people into doing it right. The only thing that is going to make people want to be better people is if we show them love and acceptance for exactly where they are and who they are. And it's the same thing for yourself. Until you show yourself love and acceptance for where you are and what you've learned so far, yourself is going to rebel against your own self. That's just how it is. So today I invite you to start with the self-compassion process, and use it with yourself, and also see if you can extend it to others. Be well. I love you all.